With 11 touchdowns and over 1,100 passing yards through 5 games, it's time for Browns fans to admit that the organization blew it with Baker Mayfield. Welcome to Gerald Khalil's Conversation Piece. I share my thoughts on social content in sports, politics, and entertainment. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So I made this video to reflect on how the Browns mishandled the Baker Mayfield situation. Now, I want to be clear that this is not a video to boost up one person by tearing down the other. My thought is that if the management team would have been a little more patient and pragmatic in their decision making, the team would be in a better position than it is today. And not just in wins and losses, but also in their reputation. Back in 2018, when Baker Mayfield was taken by the Cleveland Browns as the number 1 pick out of the University of Oklahoma, he was coming to a franchise that had touted 29 different starting quarterbacks since their rebirth in 1999. The team went winless a year before, had a combined record of 131-1 for the 2016-2017 seasons, and hadn't been to the postseason since 2002. The hope was that Baker would be the savior of the Browns. On a Thursday night game in Cleveland against the New York Jets, with the Browns now sporting a 17-game winless streak extending from the 2017 season, Baker captured the hearts and minds of Browns fans when he came off the bench to lead the Browns to their first victory since 2016. Now, after the victory, Baker was named the starting quarterback. And during the season, the Browns ended up firing head coach Hugh Jackson and hired defensive coordinator Greg Williams as the interim head coach. The team ended the season with a 7-8-1 record, but things were looking up in Cleveland. But during the offseason, the Browns management team, led by John Dorsey, decided to bypass Williams and hire Freddie Kitchens, the team's offensive coordinator who had no head coaching experience, let alone little offensive coordinator experience. This management blunder had 2 effects. One, Baker had to learn from another new offensive coordinator, his third in just over a year. And 2, the team took a step back from Kitchens' inexperience. They finished the season at 6-10. So unfortunately for Baker, the organization's self-inflicted failure led to another change for the 2020 season. Enter new general manager Andrew Berry and new head coach Kevin Stefanski. Both were lauded as great additions to the organization. Now that year, Baker led the Browns to an 11-5 record and their first postseason game since 2002. They also had their first postseason victory with a 48-37 win over the rival Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, even though they lost the divisional game against the eventual Super Bowl runner-ups, Kansas City Chiefs, things were looking up for the Browns. For the first time in decades, people started mentioning Browns and Super Bowl in the same sentence. The 2021 season saw the Browns get off to a decent start. However, in the third game against the Houston Texans, Baker injured his non-throwing shoulder. And though he was able to somewhat be effective and win the team some games, by the last half of the season, it was apparent that the injury had taken a toll. The team ended the season with a disappointing 8-9 record and without a playoff berth. Now let's reflect for a minute. The man took you to the playoffs, which included a playoff victory in his third year, which was 2020. The next year, the coaching staff and the management team both knew he was hurt, yet didn't use their authority to sit Baker down so he could heal up. But to find out, it was all by design. Extension time for Baker's contract was coming up, and the organization really didn't want to commit to the money. And because he wasn't the quarterback that Berry and Stefanski drafted, they wanted to go into a different direction. Word in the organization was that he wasn't the quarterback that could lead the Browns to the Super Bowl. One insider said that they needed a grown-up in the room. Well, enter Deshaun Watson. Long story short, Watson set out the year in Houston and wanted a trade, and the Browns got hold of his representatives, were first rejected, then came back and offered a $230 million guaranteed contract. This was in addition to 3 first-round picks, a third, 2 fourth-rounders, and a slew of legal issues. Watson agreed to it and is now their franchise quarterback. All the while, when the team was negotiating with Watson, Baker used his Twitter account to post a heartfelt letter to Browns fans and the city of Cleveland, thanking them for their support. And here's the letter if you want to take the time to read it. Now let's check out Baker's stats in Cleveland. He averaged a completion percentage of 62%, had 4,125 total yards passing, a 92 to 56 touchdown to interception rate, and an average quarterback rating of 88%. So if we're being honest here, we're getting worse numbers now. Okay, the team could have saved a bunch of draft picks and $230 million. Now, is it because of the quarterbacks? I argue it's more of the style that Stefanski and the offensive line can handle. All right. See, this team is built to highlight the running game and play action pass. It fits Baker. I mean, he loves to roll out and complete short passes. Joe Flacco, he's your prototypical pocket passer. These types of quarterbacks thrived in Stefanski systems. Okay, quarterbacks who are more unpredictable, like a Watson and someone like Lamar Jackson, not so much. So then eventually Baker, he was traded to the Carolina Panthers, and he was released after a year and then went to the Los Angeles Rams. After a year there, he ended up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he led them to a division title and a playoff appearance and a playoff win. He was awarded a contract extension after that successful season, and so far in 2024, he has led the Bucs to a 3-2 record, tied for first place in the NFC South. Now, some folks will say that it's debatable on if Baker was with the Browns, we would get this version of Baker. And also they say that he needed to be humble, and that is the reason for his renaissance. But there's no debate that the Browns' ineptitude in their front office has put the team in the state that they are in today. Will it ever change? I don't think Haslam's selling a team anytime soon. So that leaves for more management screw-ups and heartbreak for Browns fans. But knowing that you already had your quarterback and to see him do well somewhere else is nothing short than another prime Mike Tyson punch to the gut for those who root for the Browns. Leave your comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.